Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another interesting, hopefully interesting live stream. Live stream is not supposed to start like that. It's supposed to start like this with just my face. How was your day? Or how is your day going? For some people, their day is starting, especially if you're staying in some part of the world, like, I don't know, maybe Australia. I don't know. I think those people are like far behind. We in Africa, Nigeria especially, we are ahead. Not to be outdone by people in Israel and South Africa, but you get the point. Anyways, how are you all doing? Greetings to everyone. Greetings to all the Islamophobes around the world and would-be Islamophobes, those who are yet to realize that deep down they are Islamophobes. Greetings to you as well. I hope you guys had a very wonderful day. I hope your day was peaceful, lovely. Peaceful, not the Islamic way, peaceful the sinful way. I hope you had sinful peace. I hope you guys are doing well. I can see you guys in the chat. I can see Ayenora in the chat today. SpongeBob emoji. That used to be your I say emoji. Profile picture. That doesn't used to be your profile picture before. What happened? You changed, you switched, or you prefer to have cartoons? I believe that my court is the court I'm building. It's a court of people who are very serious. We are very serious over here, as you can tell. Greetings, Frank, my Nigerian brother. Greetings to you too. I don't know. I think you're from India. Am I right? Let me know. I think I have this feeling. Is it feeling something? Yeah. Who else? Yes, we are definitely Islamophobes. Yeah, that's what we do here. In case you're wondering what this live stream is about, this is the congregation of bigots and Islamophobes, people who are shamelessly haters of the religion of peace for reasons that are unfounded, clearly. So yeah. And if you believe that this is the place for you, Can you hear me? Someone is saying that my microphone is off. Coping is saying my microphone is off. If you guys can hear me, let me know. But my microphone is not off. It's on. Oh, you see? This is why we need Ayenora in the chat to tell us that it is working. Coping, stop distracting us, okay? Shana is saying hello. Hello to you, Shana. How is the United States? How is everybody over there? How is everybody in the great state that I think at this point that's the only state that is still bigoted and fascist enough to have something like the freedom of speech. That's one thing I learned when I was preparing for this live stream, guys. That being somebody who is being in support of free speech and free expression and the right to criticize and mock other religions in the world, or any religion or any worldview or any ideology, having that freedom or being in support of that freedom makes you a fascist. So I guess that makes this live stream also the congregation of fascists. Okay, the rise of fascism in the world. I'm here to contribute to that rise. So that's what this is about. Gabrielle said, "Stay safe." We are trying our best. But one thing I've realized in the world is nowhere is safe. There's this lyric of a song that I can't even remember the lyrics now. But he said, "Keep your peace because there's no peace on it." Yeah, that's what he said. Keep your peace because there's no peace on it. So, or is it say your peace because there's no peace on it? Something like that. I don't think it's keep your peace. Maybe say your peace because there's no peace on it. So that is my mantra. Say your peace because there's no peace on it. Oh, thank you for doing that, Laura. I deeply appreciate it. So anyway, welcome to every one of you. Welcome to a huge welcome. I'm happy that you are 44. The numbers keep changing. 44 of you are starting with us. Hopefully by the time we progress, other people will join. And yeah, so today we are talking about the European Court, the European Court of Human Rights, the European Court of Human Rights. The story we are going to be discussing today is something that happened 5 years ago. So it happened 5 years ago, but I got to know about it yesterday. And when I got to know about it yesterday, I was speaking with somebody. The person is in the chat right now. And I was speaking with her and I was like, can you imagine this? And I was really upset. The news was very upsetting. I even thought, I didn't even check the date of the article. It was after I finished my rant with this person that I went and I looked at the article and I was like, oh, this happened 5 years ago. 5 years ago, this wonderful court ruling was delivered, to destroy fascism in Europe. I mean, it's just interesting. I don't know why anyone wants to destroy fascism, but will you keep quiet? Will you will you keep quiet? Anyways, yeah, so let me begin. I think the best place for me to begin is to start by telling you what I think about freedom of speech, and especially freedom of speech in places like Europe. Now, I know for a fact that there has never been free speech, or the right to free speech has never been absolute in the world as a whole. There's never been absolute. There's no absolute free speech. It's not something that anybody is really advocating for. There are people who call themselves free speech absolutists, but it depends on definition, right? What do you define as being a free speech absolutist? If for me, I feel a free speech absolutist means you say whatever and whatever, anything you want to say, you are free to say. But of course, no person who is an advocate for free speech is like, yeah, there should be no defamation laws. Of course, defamation laws should be put in place, but it should not be criminal. It should be a civil issue like it is in the United States. And what else? Incitement. Okay, speech that is like an incitement or a call to violence. People want that to be, or a public threat, or making threats, death threats, threats of harm being issued. People don't want that as protected free speech, obviously. So even those who are advocate of, complete free speech don't mean that every speech should be accepted. But as long as you're not making a threat, as long as you're not directly, not this one that I say, this tree is the grass is green, and somebody's like, when he said the grass is green, there's some people that get incited to commit acts of violence. That's not that kind of incitement we're talking about. We mean direct incitement, direct call for violence. Of course, we don't want that. Okay. So when it comes to free speech, there's always this limitation that we would like to put. But for people, some people really want to extend it. There's always been that push from different group of people to extend it. In Europe, that's never been like that. That, oh, you are free. Even in the United States, even though they had the First Amendment, it was not being practiced as it was not being enforced as much as it is being enforced now. Okay, so even for a country like the United States, they really have radical free speech law that are in practice than it used to be in the past. But in Europe, Europe has always had blasphemy laws. When it was like a religious or where there was no separation between the state and religion, and that religion being Christianity, you had blasphemy laws where there are certain things you cannot say against Christianity. You also had blasphemy laws, or you had libel. You have what we call, I think it's something that Nigeria has. We inherited that from the British rather. I forgot what it is called. You have state, like, you cannot criticize the king, you cannot criticize your rulers and stuff like that. I forgot, there's a legal terminology for it, and I cannot remember what it is called. So yeah, that used to be in existence, right? So it was gradually that Europe is like, okay, you can criticize the king. In the concert that was held last week, they were saying F the king, F the king. In the past, if you say F the king, all of you in that crowd, people will see something, But now you can say F the king in Europe. So there's like a huge progress in, okay, we are the things people cannot say is there's no longer this serious restriction on things that people cannot say. But What happened? What is it looks like is happening now is um, when religious speech, when it has to be, or religious feelings, when it has to do with Christianity, was being protected, like it has been replaced with another religion. That's what I see happening in Europe. Like another religion has taken the place, or is gradually taking the place of Christianity, and it makes me wonder. Right? It makes me wonder: is it possible? Is it really possible for a state to exist? It's just a question I think about. Is it possible for a state to exist without a state religion? Is it really possible for that to happen? Now, I'm not saying that state religion should be Christianity or anything like that. I'm just saying, is it possible for a state to exist without having a state religion? Because there is this desire for people to protect certain religious rights. Now, in a Christian country, or a country that sees Christianity as its official religion, what will be protected will be the rights of the blasphemy law will be, you do not say this about the Christian faith, or we find our identity as a people rooted in the Christian ethos, so do not make fun of that. And it looks like once you deviate from that, or once you move from that, you find yourself drifting towards protecting another religion. For some, it's the religion of wokeness, where there are certain things you don't say to hurt people's feelings, as long as that feeling has to do with woke ideology. Because even the woke crowd who say don't hurt people's feelings, when you don't affirm somebody's gender, you are hurting their feelings. They don't want to protect the feeling of those they consider far right. The far right, your feelings should be offended. So even those who are like, oh, people should not be triggered, people should not be offended. They're a particular group they want to offend. They don't want to offend, and there's a particular group they are okay with offending. So it makes me question, or I ask myself, like, or even, and it's a question I'm throwing to you guys: is it possible for a state to really exist? Because a secular society is still, I believe, an experiment that we are still trying to work out. It's a society that tries to run without um, having its basis right on religion. Is it really possible? Because from what it is looking, for what it seems like, that's not possible. We have to find a religion. Or human beings are just uh, worshiping beings. We like to worship something and hold something as sacred. You know. Anyways, so that's my opening rant. And yeah, thank you for listening through that. And we're going to look at the news then, and some few announcements. Please hit that like button. Like this a lot. And those of you watching us on Instagram, hi. Okay. If you are not yet following the channel, follow. Uh, Subscribe. Share the link to your friends. Let everybody know that we are live and we are talking about something that is very important, extremely important. Okay. Someone is asking if the fan is on again. No, the fan is not on again, but it is raining. So if you hear because it is raining right now in my state. So if you hear any sound, it's the sound of rain. Enjoy. Okay? This live stream is brought to you by Frank, Steven, and the rain. What else? What else do I need to mention? Okay, that's I think that's all that needs to be mentioned. And yes, follow me on Twitter. Important, very important. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Like, and also loose change. Send it my way. That's what we are doing here. Why we go live is to collect your loose change. This is a church, okay? And we thrive on your offerings. All right. So here's the headline that I saw that kind of maybe that I saw and I got upset. The headline said, "Defaming Prophet Muhammad not free expression," according to the ECHR. Such defamation could spell prejudice and risk religious peace. So, what is more important in Europe, according to the ECHR, is religious peace. They don't want to risk religious peace. Says European Court of Human Rights. So, the detail of the story. Defaming the Prophet Muhammad goes beyond the permissible limit of an objective debate and could stir up prejudice and put at risk religious peace, and thus exceed the permissible limits of freedom of expression ruled the European Court of Human Rights on Thursday, upholding a lower court decision. The decision by a 7 judge panel came after an Austrian national identified as Mrs. X held 2 seminars in 2009 entitled Basic Information on Islam, in which she defamed the Prophet Muhammad's marriage. According to a statement released by the court on Thursday, the Vienna Regional Criminal Court found that this statement implied that Muhammad had pedophilic tendencies, and in February 2011 convicted Mrs. X for disparaging religious doctrine. What I think is really interesting is that according to this court decision, it is the lecture of Mrs. X that implies that Muhammad has pedophilic tendencies. It is the lecture, not the actual references, enormous references that you find in the hadiths that talk about Muhammad's marriage to Aisha, something that most Muslims have no issue with. Like, it is not a problem for most Muslims. The fact that Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9. If you meet a Muslim in most Muslims around the world, don't have an issue with this statement. They see it as not, I was talking to somebody, I was like, pedophilia is not a problem for the average Muslim in the Muslim world. Maybe the Muslim in the West, they have a problem with it. Maybe. That is still yet to be seen. It's up for debate. It's still up in the air. We should also remember that there are people like Daniel Hakikachi and there's Alidawa, who is like, when my child is of a certain age, I will tell her that she's ready for marriage. We should remember that there are people like that. So the idea that even people in the West have a problem with pedophilia, Muslims in the West have a problem with pedophilia, is still up for debate. But in the Muslim world, in Muslim countries, in Yemen, in Afghanistan, in Saudi Arabia, in northern Nigeria, in Mauritania, right? In Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, among Muslims, majority of them in these countries, child marriage is not a problem. The fact that their prophet got married to a 6-year-old and consummated it at 9 is one of the reasons why they love him. Is the proof, okay, that Muhammad was indeed sent from God. But when you say to a European audience that finds such practice despicable, now you are blaspheming, and you are now the one implying that Muhammad has pedophilic tendencies. And not only that, these people went ahead and fined this lady with she was fined 480 euros, approximately $547, the cost of the proceedings. Mrs. X appealed. Mrs. X, not X, S, appealed, but the Vienna Court of Appeal upheld the decision in December 2011, confirming in essence the lower court's finding. A request for the renewal of the proceedings was dismissed by the Supreme Court on 11 December 2013. It said, relying on Article 10, freedom of expression, Mrs. S complained that the domestic court failed to address the substance of the impeached statement in the light of her right to freedom of expression. On that's 2015, that's the today that is being referenced in this article. The ECtHR said it found in particular that the domestic court comprehensively assessed the wider context of the applicant's statements and carefully balanced her right to freedom of expression with the right of others to have their religious feelings protected. Let me read it again. The ECtHR said it found in particular that the domestic courts comprehensively assessed the wider context of the applicant's statements and carefully balanced her right to freedom of expression to the right of others to have their religious feelings protected, and served the legitimate aim of preserving religious peace in Austria. The court held that by considering the impeached statement as going beyond the permissible limits of an objective debate and classifying them as an abusive attack on the Prophet of Islam, which could stir up prejudice and put at risk religious peace, the domestic court put forward relevant and sufficient reasons. The statement also added that there had been no violation of Article 10 of the European Convention of Human Rights covering freedom of expression. So basically the court is saying freedom of expression does not apply to you criticizing the prophet of Islam, or or issuing abusive attacks, saying abusive things about the prophet of Islam. So when you call Prophet Muhammad a warmonger, or you call him a pedophile, or you call him a child rapist, when you say that, you are attacking and abusing the prophet, and that does not qualify as freedom of expression. In Europe, or at least to the parts of Europe that come under the jurisdiction of this court, I don't know how the jurisdiction of this court, the extent of this jurisdiction, but I believe that certain parts of European countries have to abide by this rule, right? So that's what we are dealing with in Europe. And to help us understand what we are talking about, we'll look at some people's reaction to this. There are a couple of reactions to this from some people that I want to react to. So we are going to be reacting to the reaction of some people. We are going to be looking at God's side. He made a video about this in 2015. And the funny thing to me is how this happened in 2015, and so many people are not even aware of it. It was not mainstream news. It was not something that everybody was. It was something that just happened on the side. It just made me realize that gradually and unconsciously, people's liberties and people's freedom is being taken away from them, and they are not even aware of it. You guys, please don't be distracted by the rain. Bear with the rain. This rain was sent by Mossad to interrupt this. So just ignore the rain. Ignore what Mossad is trying to do to this live stream. We all know that according to some people, Muslims we are sent into the West by Jews to destroy the West. Okay, so that's what they're trying to do right now by interrupting this effective, interesting live stream. So don't allow that to happen. Anyways, what was I saying? So when it happened in 2015, when this decision was issued in 2015, many people were not even aware of it. Like, it's just something that happened, and it just shows how people's freedom, especially the attack on the freedom of speech, is happening, and many people are not even aware of it. You know, so tomorrow somebody in Austria may say something about the Prophet Muhammad and not know that that's a crime. And now they're a criminal, and now they have to pay £480 or something as fine for offending people, for infringing on their rights to have their feelings protected. One thing that is really interesting to me is that a judge, 7-man panel, judges, 7 of them, sat together, and this is like one of the highest courts in Europe, right? Sat together. So people who spent years studying the law, right? When I was studying law, it says a noble profession rather. That lawyers are learned. You know, you are a legal luminary. You are of superior mind in a way due to your training, right? And based on everything you learned in school and based on your experience of interpreting the law, you wrote in your court decision that there is something called the right to have the feelings of others, the religious feelings of others, protected. You wrote it down. You were like, yeah, this makes sense. This is indeed something. There is something that should exist. It should be called the right to. Even when blasphemy law was, when we had blasphemy law, like traditional blasphemy law that has to do with protecting against insults to Christianity, it was not done under the guise of protecting the feelings of Christians. I don't think that was what blasphemy law for Christianity was, right? It was more like, don't insult. There's this, we recognize les divina, the law of God. We believe that our state is run by God, and we will not stand for anyone to insult the God that is or the doctrine upon which our society is founded upon. the God of he's like the end all be all, right? He's the one in charge of our society, and he will not stand for insults. That was kind of how nobody was doing that to say we are protecting the feelings of men, right? It's like now you replace God with the feelings of men. Even blasphemy in Islam is not done to protect the feelings of Muslims. It's done to protect the honor of Allah, right? The image and the prestige of Allah and His Prophet. It is not done to protect feelings of anybody, right? And then these people are like, no, we are doing ours because we want to protect people's feelings and protect religious peace. If it is indeed going to be a conflict, if it's going to be a conflict when you say certain things about a particular religion, anybody who finds that as a conflicting statement, as a statement that should warrant violence, should not be in your society, should not be a part of your society. They should be locked up or deported. How are you going to bend the principle of freedom of expression to protect somebody's feelings, a religion that is not even native to your own land, native to your own people? Is a foreign religion. I mean, it's just interesting. It's just interesting to see. Libel is saying, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name, but it looks like Libel. Anyway, Libel is saying, not sure if Christianity had any anti-blasphemy laws. So such laws I only find that ever a religion with extremely weak gods. Christianity as a religion does not prescribe blasphemy laws, right? But Christian societies in the past have had blasphemy laws, and even Jewish temple laws had elements of blasphemy laws attached to it, right? So they've always been that, right? So yeah, that's as far as it goes. But Christianity itself, there's no place where Jesus said or the apostles taught that any person who says something about God that is blasphemous should be killed or should be fined or anything like that. Okay, but Christian societies have over time come up with blasphemy laws. That's a fact. Those laws, I will argue are not Christian laws, right? But they exist, they do. So there's that. Okay, and just send this but I said first Islam blasphemy. Mumu was a pedo, and worst of first blasphemy. Mumu was a pedo and worst of creatures. Which is very interesting when I just thinking about the last part, worst of creatures. The Quran says Jews and Christians are worst of creatures. Doesn't that offend people? Is that not offensive? If we are trying to protect people's feelings, shouldn't the Quran that contain that statement be banned? Shouldn't it? You know. Anyways, let us see a video that talks about this. Let me start with this one.
What's wrong with being offended? When did sticks and stones may break my bones stop being relevant? Isn't that what you teach children, for God's sake? That's what you teach toddlers. He called me an idiot. Don't worry about him. He's a dick.
Let me give out audience one. Listeners' discretion or viewers' discretion is advised. Okay, profanities will be. This is starting with a comedy show. You know what to expect from the comedy show. So please, your discretion is advised.
Now you have adults going, I was offended, and I have rights.
Yeah, I have rights not to be offended. That's one of the that's Western society. It's interesting to think that will a day will come. Sorry, I don't know if I was muted for a second. I think I was. To think that a day will come where people will say the people's feelings, be people getting offended, should not be a thing, and people should be protected from that. Like you've protected so much of humans that you've done such a good job at protecting people from so many things that the next thing on your mind is how do we protect people's feelings, right? There is still poverty in the world. There's still hunger in the world. There is still domestic abuse. There's still sexual violence. There's so many evils in the world to protect people from, right? There's so many attacks on human beings all across the world, and then you have people who are like, while we are trying to figure out how to deal with all of these issues, can we also include the fact that some people are getting offended, and we need to protect their feelings? In 21st century, 2024, or in this case 2015.
So what? Be offended. Nothing happens. You're an adult. Grow up. Deal.
Like, well, the comedian is not part of the listen. So, anyway, you understand what you're watching very soon. I don't want to introduce you. You understand what we are reacting to very soon.
With it. I was offended. I don't care. Nothing happens when you're offended. There's nothing. I went to the comedy show and the comedian said something about the Lord and I was offended. And when I woke up in the morning, I had leprosy. Nothing happens. I want to live in a democracy, but I never want to be offended again. Well, you're an idiot.
And here's the thing about being offended. There's something, I think it's Jordan Peterson who made this, who rightfully made this observation, that there are certain truths, or to get to the truth, you have to risk offending people. If we are a society that values truth, that understand that truth is important, and that you want to build your society on the truth, you always want to get to the bottom of what the truth is. If you're somebody who values truth, who values honesty, who wants to learn more about the world and want to change your mind about certain things and be open to new discoveries and new arguments and new way of thinking. If you're that person, you want to be progressive, right? That's what the West always talk about, being progressive. If you truly want to be progressive, you have to be open to being offended. Okay? Because to get to the truth, so many offensive statements will be made. Which argument have you ever been involved in that even when the people in the argument are being civil, you think some of the things that are being said in the process are not hurtful, or the person who is hearing it does not feel offended by it? I mean, I've watched debates between Christian and atheists, and some of the things that are being said, I find like it makes me feel some kind of way. Like just hearing it, and I'm like, why does this person have to say that? But I understand. I keep watching because you have to go through each of those kind of statements to get to the bottom of what the truth is and see the conclusion of the debate. But if you're like, okay, we're not going to hurt people's feelings, then it's like you will not even have any meaningful conversation. Even when you are in a conversation with people you love, your spouse, your relative, your friends, and you're having serious conversation, there is no serious conversation that you will have that you're not risking offending someone else. And then when you talk about religion, that is why the problem of offense is why so many people don't talk about religion, because they don't want to offend anybody. They don't want to offend people's religious feelings. They don't want to affect it. That's why people shy away from it, and that's why you have so many false religions having a huge effect in the world. So much so that we now have the new religion of wokeness. And that one is the one that strives to be defended as much as possible. Like, do not say anything that is anathema to our doctrine, else you will lose your job. Or in some countries, you might even get a fine and get in prison or whatever.
In 2009, Elizabeth Sabadash-Wolf, a conservative Christian from Austria, gave several seminars at the Freedom Party Education Institute. These seminars were titled Basic Information on Islam, and within them she likened the Islamic prophet Muhammad's marriage to 6-year-old Aisha to paedophilia. She put it as follows: "One of the biggest problems we are facing today is that Muhammad is seen as the ideal man, the perfect human, the perfect Muslim. That means that the highest commandment for a male Muslim is to imitate Muhammad, to live his life. This does not happen in accordance to our social standards and laws. Because he was a warlord, he had many women, to put it like this, and liked to do it with children."
That is what she said, right? That is what she said, and that is what is blasphemous. And let's see what she said. There is not even consideration for when you're talking about defaming the prophet, right? This is what somebody will classify as defaming the prophet. But when I learned when I studied defamation, I learned that one of the defense for defamation is if what is being said is true. And what is being said here is true. Is Muhammad is seen in Islam as the ideal man, the perfect Muslim? Yes. Okay, every Muslim, she said every Muslim male, but every Muslim is supposed to imitate the Prophet Muhammad, to live life like it. That's why many Muslims dress the way they dress. They even imitate his dressing. Try to imitate everything about him. They keep their beards. They're trying to look like Prophet Muhammad. So it's not this statement is not false, right? And the fact that he was a warlord, I mean, the hadith narration just confirmed that he had many women. Yes, 9. The hadith collection confirmed that. He told his followers to have 4. He went ahead and had 9, and that was just 9 wives. We are not talking about his the ones that his right hand possessed rather. And yes, he lied to do it with children. He does. Okay, he married a 6-year-old and consummated the marriage when Aisha was 9. He told one of his followers who married an older woman, why didn't he marry a young one that he can fund? That is in the hadith. So yes, he liked to do it with children. And the Quran encourages child marriage. Does not stop it. Sharia law has no limitation for child marriage. I mean, for marriage, I said limitation for child marriage, has no limitation, age limitation or age restriction for marriage. You can go ahead and marry somebody, whatever, regardless of the age. So it's not her saying it. She's just reporting. Maybe, yeah, she's paraphrasing what the facts are, but they are the facts.
In response, an attendee of the seminars, who was an undercover journalist, requested a preliminary investigation against Elizabeth for inciting hatred.
And this is one thing that I find interesting, especially in this era of free speech, right? That people who are trying to limit other people's freedom of expression are journalists. The people who are trying to... Let me just reduce the effect of the rain. I hope the effect of the rain has been reduced. Can you guys still hear me? Without the rain? I think the rain is still there. The effect of the rain is still there. You guys have to deal with the Nigerian weather. This is awesome Nigerian. Anyways, one of the things I find really interesting, the only people who attack free expression in the West are Muslims, journalists. These are people who the freedom of expression, the right to free expression is to defend. Is like the reason you have a job is because of freedom of speech. The reason you, as somebody, as a part of the press, the reason you have a job is freedom of speech. There is no freedom of expression. You will not have a job. You will not be able to, because you have to report on what the government is doing. You have to criticize the government. You have to hold them accountable, right? You have to hold every idea and every idea. Hold them accountable, criticize them, scrutinize them. That is what journalism is about: investigating, getting to the bottom of the truth, and saying that truth no matter who it offends. That is what journalism is about, right? And then you have journalists trying to silence people. There's an article I saw from the New York Times that was released today, and the headline is saying that that free speech has gone too far. That's what the headline was saying. Free speech has gone too far. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it from the New York Times. So I can show you just now this is the headline. Freedom, the First Amendment is out of control. That is what this headline says. The First Amendment is out of control. Journalists are the ones who are like, we have too much free speech. Can we pull the reins on this? Can we prevent this? Can we put a stop to how much free expression people are having these days? It is becoming too much. Journalists are the ones. This is a journalistic publication saying that this freedom of speech is now becoming too much. Is there a way we can restrict it? That's what we are seeing these days from journalists, people who are supposed to be as in the forefront in the fight for freedom of speech, and now the ones who are trying to restrain speech, trying to censor people, advocating for censorship constantly.
A long story short, in 2011 she was convicted by the Regional Criminal Court for disparaging religious doctrines and was ordered to pay the costs of the proceedings and a fine of €480. Now, Elizabeth's defence was predicated on Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which declares that everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right should include the freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers. But the court ruled that anyone who wishes to exercise their rights under Article 10 of the Convention was subject to duties and responsibilities, such as refraining from making statements which hurt others without reason and therefore did not contribute to a debate of public interest.
So you have the right to free expression, but you cannot express yourself if you're going to hurt other people's feelings without reason. What is the reason for hurting other people? First of all, there is a reason in this regard to what she said. There is a reason for her to hurt other people's feelings. There is, because what she's saying is the truth. And if you know anything about the truth, it is going to hurt people's feelings. And if the purpose is to impact people with the truth, and you hurt people's feelings in the process, it is justified. It is a good reason to hurt people's feelings. Right? But even if there is no reason, even if there's actually no reason whatsoever, I'm just saying it because I want to say it, for the sake of saying. Yes, I can look at it and say this person is being reckless. Fine, that is my opinion. It doesn't mean that person should not be able to say whatever they want to say, however they want to say it. In Nigeria, there's something we call not something, but there's something we say when people are running their mouth. Like if someone is running their mouth and saying things that offense you or trying to offend you, Nigerians will say, "Now them get their mouth." Or what it means is this person is the owner of his mouth, and by implication it means that I cannot control what this person says. So the person has the right to use their lips however they deem fit. So if someone is insulting in Nigeria, you just be like, don't get them out. I'm not going to say that. We in Nigeria, a country that has not even, our legal system is still messed up. And when it comes to coming up with philosophical arguments, you're not the best. But we understand. We understand that in certain instances, you should not interfere with what people are able to say with their mouth. In most cases, you should not interfere with what they're able to say with their mouth. It's theirs. They can say whatever they want to say, for whatever reason they want to say it. We have a European court who is saying we are in a progressive society, right? And now we want to protect people's feelings. And therefore, you should not say anything that will hurt them without reason. There has to be a really good reason for why you should say something that should be offensive. What is the good reason? It is not stated. What is the good reason? For them, they say it must contribute to a debate of public interest. How do you define that? It's up for the court to decide. They decide what is going to harm public interest and what is going to be for the benefit of public interest. It is at the discretion of the judge or of one or few people, depending on how they feel about what they are saying. Then there is no free speech. It doesn't exist.
And that the manner in which religious views were attacked could invoke the state's responsibility in order to guarantee the peaceful exercise of the rights under Article 9, presenting objects of religious worship in a provocative way capable of hurting the feeling of the followers of that religion could be conceived as a malicious violation of the spirit of tolerance.
I was offended.
The spirit of tolerance. So, saying something that can harm people's feelings, religious feelings. There was something let me watch it, and someone was saying one of the very important rights in the West, and one of the something that the principle, something that the West values, that is that the topmost of what the West values should be freedom of speech, or is freedom of speech. And when I was watching that, I was like, no, that's not what the West values anymore. What they value is tolerance, progressiveness, whatever they define progressiveness as, inclusion, diversity. That is what is at the forefront of the minds of the average Westerner these days. Is how inclusive can I be? How progressive can I be? How much of a social justice warrior can I be? Nobody puts value on the truth anymore. And when you live in a society where the truth does not matter, where objectivity does not matter, where getting to the bottom of what is actually real does not matter, and all that matters is whose feelings can I protect. You are going to undermine freedom of expression. You are going to undermine other rights, for the right of people's feelings to not be offended. In fact, people these days classify genocide now based on how people feel. Before the pro-Palestine cry, before that, the people in the LGBTQIA+ community, especially the transgenders, we are accusing their critics of committing acts of genocide. If you guys can still remember, 8 months ago, before everybody went pro-Palestine, the people that we are claiming to be genocided, we are trans people. And what was the genocide? Then you are hurting their feelings. So hurting people's feelings is synonymous, or almost the same thing, if not the same thing, as killing them. I remember when Michael Noe said that transgenderism should be eradicated from public life. I remember that speech from Michael Noe where he was saying, I think it was a CPAC speech, and he was talking about eradicating transgenderism from public life. And everyone on the left, even the press secretary, was saying that he was calling for the eradication of transgenders. He was calling for genocide. Then imagine if I said Islam should be eradicated from public life. We should eradicate Islam from public life. I've committed an act of genocide against all Muslims, 1.9 billion people. I have called for the genocide. I have incited violence against Muslims. When I say Islam, not Muslims, Islam should be eradicated from public life. That is where we are living. That's the world we are living in right now.
And I have rights.
Dissatisfied, Elizabeth took her case to the Vienna Court of Appeal, but on the 20th of December 2011, the court dismissed it, ruling that her commentary was intended as an abusive attack on the Prophet of Islam, and that her statements were wrong.
Let me read what was said. The court found that it had to examine whether, the court found that it had to examine whether the comments at issue were merely provocative or had been intended as an abusive attack on the Prophet of Islam. How are they going to establish that? Nobody tells us. They are going to go by feelings, I guess. He concluded that the latter was the case, as the Muslims would find the applicant's statement. He liked to do it with children, things with Aisha and the child sex, and a 57-year-old man and a 6-year-old. What do you call that? Give me an example. What do you call it if it is not pedophilia? Wrong and offensive. Even if Muhammad had married a 6-year-old and had intercourse with her when she was 9. So, because he's saying, regardless of the fact that what this woman is saying is true, that regardless of the fact that what she's saying is indeed the truth, if she says it the way she said it, for saying it the way she has said it, she meant it as an abusive attack. This, guys, this is what in Islam is called blasphemy. This is blasphemy law, Sharia style, not Western version of blasphemy. This is Sharia style blasphemy law. You may not know this, right? But blasphemy in Islam is not well defined. If you meet a Muslim and ask him, what is blasphemy? Give me a concise definition of what blasphemy is. There is no real definition of what blasphemy is. It depends. Everything is contextual for blasphemy. Muhammad married a 9-year-old. If a Muslim says it to another Muslim as the way of showing him what is written in the hadith, it's not blasphemy. If a Muslim says it to justify child marriage in, let's say, a Muslim country, it's not blasphemy. It's fine. I mean, who's going to kill him for saying that? No one. Nothing like that will happen to him. If a Muslim says it as a way of encouraging his fellow Muslims to engage in child marriage, it's not blasphemy. But if I, a non-Muslim, say it to expose just how disgusting and despicable Islam is, if my goal is to expose something that already exists and every Muslim is proud, most Muslims, not every one of them, but a good number of them are okay with, then I have blasphemed. That is Islamic blasphemy. It's not like what we qualify as like when Christian, so-called Christian countries had blasphemy laws. It doesn't matter who said what. That statement is blasphemy regardless of context. But in Islam, it's contextual. It depends on what you are trying to achieve with what you are saying. Are you trying to make the prophet look bad? Even though for the average Muslim, it's not a bad thing. Are you trying to make other people see the religion as bad and see the prophet as bad? If that is your goal, then you have blasphemed. There was somebody in the north in Nigeria, northern Nigeria. It was a recent convert from Islam to Christianity, right? By the way, some people see apostasy and blasphemy as the same thing. Some Islamic school of thought. So there is a marriage between apostasy law and blasphemy law, just to tell you where this is headed. Anyways, so this person, he just a recent convert from Islam to Christianity, and he said something in a Facebook post. And what he was trying to say in his Facebook post, this is a Nigerian in the north, I've forgotten his state. What he was trying to say in his Facebook post was that the Quran was not written by Muhammad. It was not written by the Prophet Muhammad. It was written years after the Prophet Muhammad. And because of this fact, no Muslim can say categorically that what they have in their hand is indeed what was revealed to Muhammad. Right? And that was seen as blasphemy. He was not insulting the Prophet. He was just saying, look, based on this and this, can we really, and this is essentially how he said it. He was said in form of like a question, can you really say, based on the years that passed before the Uthman copy and what Muhammad was professing and reciting to his followers, can we really say that what we have is indeed what was revealed to Muhammad? Can't we say that there may be some alteration, there may be some human inputs, there may be some changes, has been corrupted or something? Can't we make that claim looking at the lapse of time? That is all he was saying. Something that every rational mind should think about, at the very least. Even if it does not, in fact, many Muslims will never find it as a compelling argument against Islam. For them, it's not even a compelling argument, but it's just something that, okay, you can put it out there. You can just say it. There's nothing wrong about that. Or nothing should be wrong about that. But because the aim of saying that is to cast doubt, right, to commit fitna. Remember, fitna. Because that's what the person is trying to do by making that statement. He has blasphemed. So how far, if you are trying to protect the feelings of Muslims, and these people have been programmed to see anything that they perceive as fitna, offensive, how far are you willing to go? What happens when they tell you that when they say other religions, other people of other religion, openly practicing their religion, and they consider it as fitna, they consider it as offensive? What are you going to do then? Are you going to also block that? How far are you willing to go to protect people's religious feelings? How far are you willing to go?
And offensive. In response, Elizabeth lodged a renewal of her proceedings to the Supreme Court, but on the 13th of December 2013, the court dismissed her appeal, stating that the court had stated many times that in the context of religion, member states had a duty to suppress certain forms of conduct or expression that were gratuitously offensive to others and profane.
Wow, is that not interesting? So states have a duty to suppress speech. If they have a duty to suppress it, if they consider that it is going to be gratuitously offensive to others, and they will consider it profane. I don't know if these people know that saying that Jesus is God, according to Islam, when you say God has a son, that the earth shakes, the moon, then the whole world tumbles when you make that statement, and that is offensive. That is blasphemy. Are they really? And if a Muslim saying when you tell me Jesus is God, I am offended by that statement, are you going to protect that as well? Because they consider it profane. They may consider it offensive. So are you going to prevent people from doing that as well? How far are you willing to go with this principle?
A duty to suppress.
I was offended and I have rights.
Once again dismayed, Elizabeth escalated her appeal to the European Convention of Human Rights, insisting that her speech, however offensive, is protected by Article 10 of the Convention. But on the 20th of October 2018, the ECtHR ruled that the domestic courts comprehensively addressed the wider context of the applicant's statements and carefully balanced her right to freedom of expression with the rights of others to have their religious feelings protected, and that therefore there has been no violation of Article 10, and so the conviction stands. Now, to put this bluntly, this is despicable. The highest judicial authority.
It is. This is where we are going to stop with this reacting to his video, because we are playing his videos because he gave details that the article that I saw on this did not give. And this is the full context of what happened and what transpired and the ruling that we are given, that was given by the court. And when he said this is problematic. This is indeed problematic. This trend in Europe is really problematic. If you are going to defend people from is really problematic. This is Sharia law. This is Sharia law. This blasphemy ruling is Sharia law. There is no other way to look at it than to see it for what it is. It is Sharia law. You are introducing Sharia law into Europe. And any European country that abides by this is abiding by a form of Sharia law. That is what you are doing. You know, the annoyed, offended, sarcastic news, like, you know what, why don't you just go all the way? Why don't you just go all the way and just say, you know what, we are now a Muslim country. We are now a Muslim continent. Why don't you just go ahead and just go all the way? Just if you are going to start here, you might as well just, you know, in Nigeria, they say if you want to eat frog, eat a big frog. So when people call you a frog eater, you proudly, you know, heave your chest and beat it and say, yes, I am a frog eater. If you want to be ridiculous, go all the way. Be full in your religion. At least just go all the way. Be complete in it. Leave no stone unturned. If you want to really be an idiot, just go all the way. So I will know exactly that this is it. This is Sharia law, full effect. No holding back. And don't do it slowly. Go just direct. Go straight. In the name of being inclusive. Let us see how inclusive you can be. You know, when Islam finally has full effect, when you have to exclude people's ideas and thoughts and what they think because you want to protect people's feelings. Let's see how inclusive your society will really be when that is not. Which feeling will be protected? Which feeling will you protect? When in the bid to protect one feeling, you end up offending another one. What feelings are you protecting? How far do you want to go with this ridiculousness? And the truth is, on a good day, I shouldn't bother myself about what is happening on a good day. And the reason why I'm saying is that I don't live in Italy, in case you don't know. I don't live in Europe. But I see the bigger picture. Like I see a trend, a growing trend, and it is concerning. It is concerning. Any person who sees this should be concerned by this because it is a trend that is starting on a macro level, right? It is starting on a grand. If you look at the bigger picture, you see that this is a trend that is starting, and you ask yourself, how far will this go, and what will be the effect in other parts of the world? And for me, especially for somebody who lives in Nigeria, where we have 12 states in Nigeria that enforce blasphemy laws, including death sentence to people who defame the prophet, and jail time for anybody who offend people or speak ill of a religious belief. I live in a state where defamation is a criminal offense, not a civil dispute. Like if you defame me, I report you to the police, and the police will go and arrest you and prosecute you for defamation. And we are trying to bring a country like Nigeria to a place where this will no longer be the case. Meanwhile, we have people in Europe who are like, no, we want to go back. The funny thing is you are going back to something that you recognize was bad. You are going back to it, and in your head, you are telling yourself that I'm being progressive. This is a very interesting way of looking at it. Anyway, let's watch one more reaction to this, and it's from God's side. And God's side didn't need a comedian to be humorous. He's very humorous by himself. And we're going to be reacting. Like just said, misgendering and speaking truth about Momo are definite no-no. Exactly, you cannot do any of that. You cannot misgender people. That is why Muslims align themselves with the left. That is why they do it, because they know the left. There are certain principles that the left are applying that they can apply as well. That is why they align themselves with the West. With the left, rather. Because the left want to censor people. Muslims also want to censor people. The left want a totalitarian control of society, and Muslims want a totalitarian control of society as well. So what the Muslim does, or what the Islamic agenda does, is that it morphs itself and pretend to be a leftist idea when it actually is not a leftist idea. Look at France, for example. You would, like, after the first round of elections that made Marine Le Pen, that saw Marine Le Pen as victorious, is met with riots and protests. And if you ask people who are protesting, why are you protesting? They will say, winning the election is going to be the end of the democracy. So you are defending democracy by protesting the outcome of a democratic process. And in your head, you still tell yourself that you are for democracy. These are the crazy things that I say. You see somebody who is openly against democracy. You are really against it. There is nothing about it that is democratic. And you say you are being against democracy because you are in support of democracy. And how you are able to have that thought in your head. I think one of the things in the West, look, one of the things that I think many people, especially those on the left, are dealing with is that they don't know how to think. They don't really sit down and ask themselves, okay, this is what I'm saying I believe in. What is the argument against my position? And I think people should do this every once in a while. Sit with themselves and ask, okay, what is the argument against this view that I hold? Let me look, or even if you cannot think of one, look out for one, seek it, and know if it makes sense. That is the way you know if you are holding a really true position or if you are not. Look at people who hold contrary views and listen to them and be like, okay, this is me subjecting my own opinion to criticism. That way your hubris will be highlighted. The intellectual blind spots that you may have will be highlighted. And then you realize, oh, maybe I am wrong. But people in the West, they don't do that anymore. Of course, doing that is blasphemy or it's genocide, especially when you tell a trans person that they're not who they claim to be. It's well. It's well. This is from Promise Daniel. So when Islamists ally with the extreme left, if they eventually get into power, they will turn on their allies. The left. Any in doubt should research the history of Iran. Exactly. That is what happened in Iran. We are pushing for a revolution. And when the revolution finally got the people the first set of people that were killed, we are the leftists. We are the first people that we are executed in droves, in large numbers. Copy said that my audio is quite low. Let me improve it. How's my audio now? Still low. All right, let's get into this video.
Hi everybody, this is God Saad. It's Friday night. Should be the weekend, but here I am speaking to you yet again to address the unbelievable lunacy that we are facing. So this morning I woke up and decided to weigh in on a decision that was rendered in the bastion of freedom known as Europe. This is from the European Court of Human Rights. Before I read you the actual judgment, this is a press release that was issued by the registrar of the court, because a lot of people wrote back to me and said, bruh, you're not being fair. You're not reporting the situation as it truly occurred. And all I did was actually share a news report. This is what the Wall Street Journal says. You know that unknown newspaper. Europe court upholds ruling against woman who insulted Islam. Human Rights Court says disparagement of religious doctrines such as insulting the Prophet Muhammad isn't protected by freedom of speech. Gee, that seems like totally contrary to what I might have assumed when I said, oh look, it appears as though Sharia law has come to Europe. So let me read to you again the heading. Europe court upholds ruling against woman who insulted Islam. Human Rights Court says disparagement of religious doctrines such as insulting the Prophet Muhammad isn't protected by freedom of expression. My God, I really misrepresented the case. So a lot of people wrote to me, but bruh, if only you would read the actual thing instead of spreading fake news, then, because Wall Street Journal is fake news and the other 73,000 news outlets that have reported exactly roughly the same headline, they're all fake news. So I took the advice of the naturally lobotomized and intellectually castrated and went to the actual press release issued by the registrar of the courts. Let me read it for you. In today's chamber judgment in the case of ES versus Austria, the European Court of Human Rights held unanimously that there had been no violation of Article 10, meaning freedom of expression, of the European Convention on Human Rights. The case concerned the applicant's conviction for disparaging religious doctrines. She had made statements suggesting that Muhammad had pedophilic tendencies. The court found in particular that the domestic courts, Austria, comprehensively assessed the wider context of the applicant's statement and carefully balanced her right to freedom of expression with the right of others to have their religious feelings protected, and served the legitimate aim of preserving religious peace in Austria.
I still can't really get over that fact. The right to have other people's it's still I mean, I don't know if people understand just how ridiculous that sounds. To have the right of in a secular society. There's a society that if you ask them and they say, yeah, we are secular, we have successfully separated state from religion. In such a society, to see a court in that society say, yeah, we need to protect the right religious feelings. That there is something called the right to have your religious feelings protected.
So you see, You weigh freedom of speech with not insulting the religious feelings of the noble ones. That's not at all Sharia law. I was completely wrong. I utterly misrepresented the case, as did every news outlet. It held that by considering the impugned statements as going beyond the permissible limits of an objective debate, and by classifying them as an abusive attack on the Prophet of Islam, which could stir up prejudice and threaten religious peace, the domestic courts put forward relevant and sufficient reasons. So the truly enemies of reason from the West who wrote to me to say, bruh, you're misrepresenting by sharing the Wall Street Journal or any of the other news outlet, you're misrepresenting what truly happened. And if only you would go to the judgment, you would see that it's not as bad as what you said. So I just read you a paragraph. So insulting the Prophet of Islam is not something that's permissible because it might stir up hurt feelings and it might cause, the marginalization of a particular group. And therefore, we have to weigh freedom of expression and freedom of speech against the people's feelings. That's what's written in the actual judgment, the one that they asked me to go and check out. Boy, I now feel much better that freedom of speech is safe and sound in Europe. Now imagine the people who are writing to me with those arguments, with indignation. Why are you spreading false news, fake news, Gatsad? When literally all I'm doing is sharing the link of a story that broke in only 93 trillion different news outlets, right? I mean, I didn't go to www.gamerjoesblog.com to get this information.
Okay. Let me just pause here. Something I want to react to from the comment. This is from Mac UI. I don't even know how to pronounce the UI. Not to spell it out. Anyways, he said, who cares about Austria? But this is not about Austria. You see, this is the problem with when you talk about a particular country. Or you'd be like, why should I care about what is happening there? This is why you should care. Because this is why you should care. It's not about what happens in Austria. It's about a trend. There is something you see and you'll be like, this is a worrying trend. And when you see that trend progress, it should worry you even more. There's something, I don't know if this is a publicly held view or so, but I've had people in Nigeria say it a lot. They're saying in Nigeria that when you see your neighbor's house on fire and you refuse to help in quenching that fire, you allow it to continue burning, and it's just your next door neighbor. The next house that will be on fire is yours. So when you see the trend of fire is starting, you think the wind will not blow the flame your way? And it's now a trend. It's now a wave. It's coming in waves. So it's not really, who cares about Austria? No, of course I don't. The truth is I can't even point Austria on the map. I don't know where it is on the map. All I know is that Austria is in Europe. That's all I know. How many people live in Austria? I don't know. What are Austrians? What is the favorite delicacies of people in Austria? I don't know. What is the weather like in Austria today? I don't know. And I shouldn't bother about that. That is not the issue. Okay? The issue is, look, there is a trend in Europe. There is, and it's not just Austria. And this ruling was not issued by Austria. It was issued by the European Court of Human Rights, which have jurisdiction in a few European countries, right? Or am I wrong in that regard? The point is, there is a trend that is going on, and it should concern you. There are laws against Islamophobia, are there not? These are all subtle introduction of Sharia, and it may not be happening in a place where you live. But to think that it will not cross over to yourself, I mean, gender affirming whatever, and gender ideology and all the push for gender, blah, 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 started in Europe. It didn't start in America. That is an American thing. Remember the Black Lives Matter protests and riots? That started in America. How did it end up in Europe? How we are Europeans? protesting BLM when London police don't even carry guns. You see, you might look at something that is happening somewhere and be like, it doesn't concern me, this trend, or it's going to end and it's going to begin and end in that country. And then you wake up tomorrow and it is in your backyard. So these are worrying trends. And any person who is living in the world should be worried when they see this. They should be worried when they hear their leaders talk in a particular way, especially when it has to do with freedom of expression and when it has to do with religious people protecting certain religion. Okay, look, I'll even go as far as saying this. I know that there is anti-Semitism law that aim to prevent anti-Semitism in Europe. Okay, there are certain places, certain European countries where you cannot even deny the Holocaust. If you do that, it will be seen as a violation of a particular, I don't know, law. Now, those are not blasphemy laws, but they are done because, Europe has had this history of anti-Semitism and they're trying to prevent the rise of such evil. But that, if you ask me, I'll say that is not even a good way to go about it. I understand that you're trying to do something good with those laws, but they will not serve that purpose. Instead, the opposite is what they will achieve. Even laws that are intended to combat anti-Semitism, especially when it has to do with speech laws, I think they are not effective, and I think that they are wrong. You shouldn't have those laws. It should not be a crime for somebody to deny the Holocaust. Yes, I'm saying it. I'm not saying that denying the Holocaust is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a nice speech. I'm not saying it's even a true speech, but it shouldn't be a crime. Because, like Nigerians will say, now so it takes starts. That is how it starts. It starts all innocent, but it doesn't end that way. Of course, it would not. The plan has never been for it to end that way. So that is why it should bother you.
All of the major news outlets reported this. No, I'm spreading fake news, and if only I would read the real ruling, I would feel much better about it. So let me read you a bit more from the decision. The court noted that those who choose to exercise the freedom to manifest their religion under...
People are saying that I need to fix my audio. What's happening on my audio? Alright, guys in the chat, let me know. How bad is the audio? How bad is the rain in the background? How bad is it? It's not raining heavily, as far as I can tell. Okay, it's kind of raining heavily. But how bad is the audio? Let me know, guys. How bad is it? Tell me in the chat. I'm looking at the comments right now. How bad is the audio? If it is okay, if it is very bad, say maybe 7 chance. Say I don't know. Just tell me. Just say it. I don't know what to say to you. Someone said that the video coping was saying that the audio of the video is not that loud. I mean, that's why I increased it. I actually did boost the audio coming from the video. But I don't know what I can do to boost my audio any further than I've already done. How about now? This is too loud. I don't know. And the rain is becoming very obvious. I can hear it now. I can hear the rain in my ears. I can hear the rain in my ears. How bad is the audio now? Or how good is it? It's because it's raining. The reason why you're hearing something from me is because yes, it is raining. It is raining and it is beating the roof. I'm staying on the top floor of the building. I like staying on top floors. So it is raining and the roof is if you're in my room right now, you can hear it. Okay, that's why it is affecting the audio. Okay, shouldn't I do live streams when it rains? Okay, the book of Proverbs says, he that observes the cloud will not sow. He that observes the wind or something like that will not reap. Okay, so we have to talk about this. Don't allow what Musa is sending us by way of the weather. You know how Jews control the weather. Don't allow that to affect what we are trying to do here. Okay? Of course, maybe we are the same person. All right, so this is as good as it gets. I don't want to increase this audio anything, so I want to reduce it. It's too loud even in my ears. I'm going to go back to watching the video. Bear with my audio. Okay, there are more important things to be worried about. They are trying to take your free speech, your freedom of expression. The last thing that you should be bothered about is what is happening to my audio. Okay?
Article 9 of the Convention could not expect to be exempt from criticism. Okay, that's nice. They must tolerate and accept the denial by others of their religious beliefs. Okay. Only where expressions under Article 10 went beyond the limits of a critical denial, and certainly where they were likely to incite religious intolerance, might a state legitimately consider them to be incompatible with respect for the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and take proportionate restrictive measures. So what they're basically saying is, if you do blaspheme in a way that it renders those other people to feel hurt by your criticism, you could deny that Islam is a valid religion. That's okay. We still tolerate that in Europe. But come on, don't push it. Don't criticize the Prophet of Islam. By the way, the fact that you address Muhammad as the Prophet Muhammad, that itself is if you like, a slow incursion of Sharia law. When people address Jesus, they don't say the Lord Savior of the universe, Jesus Christ, typically, or whatever the proper qualifier before the name of Jesus. Okay?
What he said here is very important. The fact that you refer to Muhammad as Prophet Muhammad in itself is a way of you affirming the belief of Islam. It's already you in a way putting yourself under the rule of Sharia. Like when you talk about Jesus, for example, not everybody says Jesus, my Lord and our Lord and Savior Jesus, or the Lord and Savior Jesus, or the one true God Jesus. I'm referring to Jesus, the Lord of the world. Okay? Or nobody's talking about Moses and it's like the humble prophet Moses or prophet Moses. Moses is how Moses is called. Jesus is how Jesus is called. But Muhammad is the prophet Muhammad. Maybe very soon you have Europeans having to put that SAW, or peace be upon him, or whenever they want to talk about the Prophet Muhammad, they be like, nobody should insult the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. That's the next thing that will be happening soon. Because you don't want to offend people's religious feelings, of course. Like we say in Nigeria, now so it takes that. Small. Very soon. Slow and steady, you get to your destination.
So drip, drip, drip. Let's go on. The court found in conclusion that the instant case, the domestic courts carefully balanced the applicant's right to freedom of expression with the rights of others to have their religious feelings protected and to have religious peace preserved in Austrian society. So basically, anything that causes someone to feel indignant about you threatening or about you criticizing their religion, as would be the case with the noble religion of perpetual peace, tolerance, and love, would be off balance because it would cause a lack of religious peace, or it would cause, like in this case, religious feelings being hurt and not being protected. So again, let me reiterate. People wrote to me, indignant at me, because apparently I was spreading false news. Wall Street Journal is fake news. All of the top journals in Europe are all fake news. They asked me to go to the actual ruling by the court, which when you read, it leaves your jaw wide open. You drop your jaw out of astonishment that this court ruling exists. They're thinking that if only I went to the court ruling, somehow I would see, oof, no problem. It's perfectly okay. So you truly wonder, who are the people who are doing this? Who are the people who are so lobotomized that they don't see the bigger picture? In a free society in the 21st century, the idea that you should be careful in not offending any religion. You should be allowed to stand on a pedestal and say, Judaism is a crock of garbage, and anyone who believes in Judaism is an idiot. I'm Jewish. And guess what? I would look at you, shrug my shoulders, and move on. That's what a free society is. Once you say,
There are even people who, when it comes to like something like burning the Quran, there are people who have asked me, the Muslims who have asked me privately, how will you feel if somebody burns the Bible? I'm like, okay, if you, I do want to do it, you can go ahead and do it. I don't, it's a piece, you're just burning pieces of paper. That is what you're doing. Okay? The word of God is not, we Christians don't believe that the word of God is paper and ink. Okay? You want to burn a couple of Bibles, knock yourself out. Won't you be offended? I would not. It's your money that you are burning. You went, you bought it and you are burning. It's your money. Go ahead. And I'm telling you, in Nigeria, we have countries, we have states in Nigeria that are predominantly Christian. And I'm telling you, not a single one of them will have an issue if somebody stands in the center of the street, burning the Bible, or tearing the Bible to pieces, or stomping on it, or doing whatever they want to do with the Bible. Nobody will have a problem with it. I've heard of somebody who said he was in his room and he wanted to I think was it snort cocaine or something, or smoke marijuana or something, and he didn't have paper, and he decided to use a page from the Bible to do that. And people be like, oh no, this is nothing. There's no okay. That was the paper that was available for you. Knock yourself out. I'm not saying people should do that, or I'm not saying it's a nice thing and it's not going to offend certain people. There are people who are going to find it offensive, but that does not mean people should not do it. And even Christians in Christian majority states in this country, Nigeria, will not even have an issue with it. Go ahead. People do it all the time, and they think, like, there was a time when if you do that, let's say for Christians, there was a time, and I'm not saying even that was ever a case in Nigeria, but I think in the West, especially in the US, people will come together and they'll be tearing Bible pages, ripping the Bible apart, videoing themselves doing it, thinking that they are being like, they're doing something provocative, they're trying to be wild, they're trying to be anti whatever it is they are trying to be anti. And then you have so many religious people, be like, oh, how dare these people do such a thing? Oh no, they will burn in hell, blah blah blah. Now if you do it, everybody's like, okay, fine. In fact, the attention you are looking for, nobody's even going to give it to you. Because in fact, it's like you did nothing. Look at people like look at musicians who have portrayed themselves as Jesus in the music video, even in their concerts and stuff like that. Fine, go ahead, knock yourself out. Be as irreverent as you can. Be as anti-religious as you can. Be as anti-Christian as you can. Anti-Christian speech is not something that anybody is even trying to call by legal means. Fine, you want to do that, go ahead. Because we believe in a God that is more merciful than he is vengeful. And a God that does not need me to defend him and to defend his honor. But you believe in a God and you call your God all merciful. That's the funny thing about Islam. Allah is all merciful. Allah is all merciful. Allah is all this. Allah is this. Allah is that. Allah is that. Allah is that. Until you say something about his prophet, and then Allah's mercy is out the window.
Sure, you're allowed freedom of speech, but you can't. Look, Prophet Muhammad is off limits. By the way, the point was that Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9. And there is endless Islamic scriptures that support that. And of course, since that has now become a rather objectionable statement of fact about that historical reality, there are unbelievable mental gymnastics level attempts to explain what 6 and 9 means. No, 6 and 9, it meant if only you understood Arabic philology, 9 is really 9 modulo 3 integral 7. differential equations that adds up to 19. It's because 9 really is 19 minus 7. It's because she came into season earlier during that period. It's because there's endless. The mental gymnastics are unbelievable. It is a statement of fact, according to Islamic scriptures, that he married her when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9. And I could share with you.
I will even share it. I will share with us those hadiths that talk about it, in case anybody is in doubt. And I want you guys to understand that when you see something like this one is graded Hassan, this one is graded Sahih, this one is graded Sahih. Sahih means credible hadith sources. This is Sahih al-Bukhari, so you see Sahih in front of it. We know what we're talking about here is Sahih. This is another Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih al-Bukhari, Sunan Abu Dawud, graded Sahih, Sahih Muslim, Sahih, Sahih, this is Sunan Abu Dawud 59.3, Sahih. Let's see what each of these Sahih hadiths. Let's keep even the first one that is graded Hassan. We are not going to read from the word that's graded Hassan. We're going to read from Sahih hadith. This is Sunan an-Nasai, right? Sunan an-Nasai 3255. It was narrated from Aisha that the marriage of Allah, it was narrated from Aisha that the Messenger of Allah married her when she was 6 years old and consummated the marriage with her when she was 9. It was narrated that Aisha said, the Messenger of Allah married me when I was 6 and consummated the marriage with me when I was 9, and I used to play with dolls. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet married her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage with her when she was 9 years old, and she remained with him for 9 years. Narrated Umrah, the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with Aisha while she was 6 years old. He wrote, that's an interesting way to put it. The Prophet is illiterate, in case you don't understand. And maybe me saying that Muhammad is illiterate is also blasphemous. Who knows? Depending on which society. If you live in a society where an illiterate prophet is not regarded, you can become blasphemy. Anyways, the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with Aisha when she was 6 years old and consummated his marriage with her while she was 9 years old, and she remained with him for 9 years until his death. Sahih al-Bukhari 5134 narrated Aisha, the Prophet married her when she was 6 years old and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. Hisham said, I have been informed that Aisha remained with the Prophet for 9 years till his death. Sahih al-Bukhari 3896. Khadija died 3 years before the Prophet departed to Medina. He stayed there for 2 years, and so then he married Aisha when she was a girl of 6 years old, and consummated that marriage when she was 9 years old. Funny enough, he didn't say a woman of 6. You know, Muslims always say whenever somebody has reached the marriageable age, it's not a woman. You can be 6 years old and you identify as a woman. No, not according to this hadith. It's a girl, not even a lady. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet of Allah, source, married me when I was 7 years old. Okay, the narrator Suleiman said, or 6 years, and had intercourse. In case you're wondering what consummation is, intercourse with me, sex, had sex with her when she was 9 years old. Sahih Muslim 1422b. Allah's Messenger, may peace be upon him, married Aisha when she was 6. That is Aisha narrating that Allah's Prophet, may peace be upon him, married me when I was 6. And I was admitted to his house while I was 9 years old. Admitted to his house, another way of saying that she knew him or he knew her in the biblical sense. Narrated Aisha, Allah be pleased with her, reported that Allah's Messenger, may peace be upon him, married her when she was 6 years old, and he, the Holy Prophet, of course, he still remains holy, took her to his house when she was 9, and when he, the Holy Prophet, died, she was 18 years old. Narrated, there are more narrations. We can keep going and going and going and going and going. This is repeated over and over and over and over and over and over again in the hadiths. You see, as you can even see what I searched on sunan.com. I just said Aisha married 6. That's just the keyword. That's all the keywords required. Aisha married 6. And you see all the hadiths. But of course, we already have established earlier that truth does not matter as long as someone is offended. And hallelujah, it's no longer raining. It's no longer raining. Because the rain likes to hear about pedophilia. This is a pedophilic rain.
Many websites that are quite definitive about this. It's not contested in the least bit. So someone decides to share this information as part of a seminar. This is the person who was fined for saying bad things about Prophet Muhammad. Now, she may have not said it in the nice way. She wasn't particularly respectful, but it is a fact. It is in Islamic scriptures.
How do you respectfully say that Muhammad is a pedophile? I really want to know. I really want to know the respectful way of saying it. Oh, you see, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was married to Aisha when she was 6, respectfully, and he had sexual intercourse with her respectfully when she was respectfully 9 years old. Alhamdulillah. How do you say that? How do you say that it is not going to be offensive? Oh, she shouldn't have said, oh, he likes to do children. Well, he does. He does. He does. Like, the message is already there. Like, you people know that.
I can bring out those scriptures for you. So what is it that you are punishing her for? And what if she even had said something that was wrong? In a free society, are you allowed to say something that is wrong? Or you're not allowed to say it if it's wrong and it hurts someone's feelings? What about if you say something that is factually true and it...
That's another thing. About in a free society, you have the right to be wrong. That is what free speech is even about. You have that right. You have the free speech right to be wrong. How are you going to know that you are wrong if the thing you are thinking, you don't say it out for somebody to correct it? We have videos on YouTube that are dedicated to debunking. This is YouTubers are so engaged in debunking that even the word debunk no longer has any meaning. Like, it means nothing at this point. Sometimes what should be written in those titles should be respond, but they say debunk, right? And why are they debunking things? Because somebody had the boldness and the right to say something even though that thing is wrong. How we get to the truth is by knowing what is not true. That is how we get to the truth. And if you're in a society that values the truth, then people should be allowed to say things even when that thing is factually wrong and offensive.
Hurts religious feelings. Geert Wilders, the Dutch parliamentarian, was summoned to court on a few occasions because he hurt the sensibilities of the noble ones. And in one of the cases, if I remember correctly, the magistrate said, it doesn't matter if what you say is true or not. If you say something that is true, but that causes, if you'd like, mischief, which, by the way, in Arabic, fitna, then it's not right. You're not allowed to do that. So it is literally Sharia law, but I have idiots writing to me and
exactly. When you say, oh, it is going to cause religious, it's going to risk religious peace. That when the ECtHR said you are risking religious peace, that is synonymous to saying you are going to spread mischief in the land with what you say. And in case you're wondering where mischief in the land is coming from, it is coming straight from the Quran. This is why it matters. This is straight from the Quran. You just paraphrase it for Western audience. For a Western audience. A modern Western audience, for that matter. A progressive, modern Western audience. You know, if only Christians were this slick. Yeah. Even though if only they were this slick. By now you will still have, there will be no separation between state and religion. It's just they were not slick enough. They could have just aligned themselves with the left, adopt their language, co-opt it and manipulate it. The same way Muslims are doing it. It's just that we stand for truth and we are not two-faced.
saying, bruh, why are you spreading fake news? So instead of these people who live in still free societies saying, my goodness, the bigger picture suggests that we should never tolerate this. You should be allowed to make fun of Mormonism and Scientology and Judaism and Christianity and Islam and anything else, and communism and any scientific theory and any scientist and any public figure. You should be allowed to do whatever you want in a free society. The only thing that you're not allowed to do is the proverbial screaming fire in a theater. You can't defame.
Even the ruling that he's referring to in the screaming fire in a crowded theater was not said to say you cannot scream fire in a theater. Okay, there was a comment I saw under this video, and the commenter said that these days we cannot even scream fire in a crowded theater, even if there is fire in the theater. But you can no longer scream fire, even when there is fire, even when there's actual fire, it doesn't even matter anymore, you know. And now there's problem in the West. There's the influx of Muslim migrants with radical, so-called, what I would call genuine and authentic Islamic ideas and notions, flooding their way into the West, flooding themselves into Europe, and they come with their ideas and their belief and their way of life. And that is actually fire in this crowded theater that is Western civilization in Europe. And you screaming fire right now, despite the fact that there is indeed fire, it's now offensive, and it's now a crime. Imagine somebody is like, I'm a criminal. What did you do? I stole money. What did you do as a criminal? I killed somebody. You're a criminal. What did you do? Oh, I said Muhammad was a pedophile. Christ. Wow. We live in wonderful times. Wonderful, wonderful times. Imagine being a criminal because you said Muhammad was a pedophile.
And engage in libelous lies against someone. And you know, those few exceptions. Otherwise, freedom of speech is absolute. And those who are writing to me and trying to parse, hair split things that not only are they wrong on, but that causes them to so desperately lose the grand plot, they simply baffle me. They genuinely disgust me, because I come from societies where we didn't have those freedoms. And I'm so proud and thankful that I live in a society where I could open the camera still and speak to you, hopefully without any consequences coming my way. But don't forget, in Canada, we now have the motion M103. You know, don't be Islamophobic, bruh. By the way, another thing.
And that is something about this conversation that makes someone like me a Nigerian concerned. I live in a country where there are speech laws. I live in a country where there are states that protect against saying something that is deemed offensive against the prophet and the religion, right? That's where I'm coming from. I live in a country where one day the president was offended by something that Twitter did, and then he banned Twitter in the country indefinitely. I'm living in that country. And this is a country that we are aspiring to be like a free society. And what do we hold as an example of the free society we want to be like? The West. Western countries, Western democracies. That is what we look at and we say, this is what our society should look like. And then you look at the place that you usually and you see that place the people you want to be like are now like you. That is the problem. That is the problem for somebody like me. I'm like, if somebody wants to criticize the Nigerian government when they introduce another speech restriction policy, and they are like, look, no, this is not right in a liberal society or in a society that is democratic. All the president of Nigeria then, or the leaders in Nigeria then, will have to say is, hey, look at Austria. That's all they have to say. Or look at Canada. There's nothing, what we are doing is not out of the ordinary. It is okay. That is all they have to say. You guys are setting a bad example. A very, very bad example. See, the truth is, when I look at certain democratic liberal societies in the West that don't know that there are people in third world countries where rights are being limited and restricted, that are looking up to them and aspiring to be like them. There are people who find themselves in a position of influence and they don't know it. People in the West are people who find, many of you find yourself in a position of influence and you don't know it. And that is why you act anyhow and you push for anything and you behave, you don't understand the weight or the responsibility that comes with your position. You are in a position where you are a beacon of hope for so many people. So people are looking up to you, and you don't care. You just do anyhow. What are we protecting today? When we see the cowardice that your legislation, that your courts demonstrate, so cowardly. What example are you setting for other countries? I wonder sometimes if people in the West think that far.
That happened today is I tweeted to Richard Dawkins and I said, hey, look at this ruling about not being able to insult Islam coming from a European court. Gee, I could really understand now why you would be so upset that people would want to, Brexit. Because, I mean, of course, no sovereign country would love nothing more than to have no control over its borders and to have others dictate what they can or can't say. A few people wrote to me, you are such a moron. This particular court is not within the jurisdiction of the EU and all of the other pedantic hair-splitting stuff. Yes, it might very well be true that the jurisdictional details of this court do or do not fall within the EU. I don't care. It is irrelevant. There's a greater story here. Is it rational for people who come from a sovereign nation to feel concerned that there are supra courts, supra legislative bodies consisting of people who are not elected by the people from those sovereign countries? Do they have the right to feel concerned by such a reality? And the answer is yes. And they don't have to be toothless bigots who sleep with their sisters to be concerned by these realities. And yet, my man Richard Dawkins repeatedly goes on Twitter, on social media, and many of his other bien-pensant colleagues, all of whom are convinced that these low information voters, all these morons who voted for Brexit, are all IQ deficient. It's simply unbelievable the level of elitism and intellectual arrogance. The exact same thing happened in the United States with everybody. All 63 million people who voted for Trump are all intellectually deficient. There is no conceivable way by which someone who is sophisticated, rational, and reasonable could have found something of value in Trump over Hillary Clinton. This is the world we live in. This is the world that I try to fight. And again,
all right, guys, let's not. I think we've had enough of this conversation before we go into the nitty-gritty of Trump, Brexit, and all whatnot. That is way out of my depth. So let me not chime in. All right, one more thing. So one more thing, rather. We are going to react to one more thing. This is from what was his name? This is from Douglas Murray. I almost said Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass is a black man. Douglas Murray is a white person. Frederick Douglass is late. Douglas Murray is still alive. All right, this is from Douglas Murray. This is happened after the Charlie Hebdo shooting, and there was a conversation about the right to offend. Okay, this is like from. I didn't know that we have the campaign manager of Donald Trump in the chat. Can you not? You don't vote in America. Okay, just focus on South Africa. Try to fight load shedding. Can you not? Can you not try to fight load shedding? Focus on that. What else? Okay, yeah. So that's the last video we are going to be reacting to, and it's 7 minutes. And the white guy, there's somebody who said something about the volume of the white guy. I hope the volume is less. And the guy, the old man is God sad. I think he is a professor in Canada. So, yeah.
speech give the right? Does freedom of speech give the right to offend? Douglas Murray from The Spectator, if you'd been a newspaper editor, would you have done this? Would you do this? Because surely it would be reckless, and you would be putting, as Stephen Pollard said this week, you would be putting the lives of your staff at huge risk.
Well, first of all, we have to remember what's going on here. This is an attempt, a very clear, very bloody attempt, to impose Islamic blasphemy law in France and across Europe. And it has to be stopped. That's why these men did it. That's why the journalists of Charlie Hebdo are dead. An attempt to impose Islamic blasphemy law in Paris. The problem is that unless you have an I am Spartacus, as you say, tactic on it, it's not worth any one individual or one, well, let's put it this way, no one publication doing it, because, after the Danish cartoons affair, Charlie Hebdo was the only paper in the world, really, that continued to say it is our right as secular French citizens to draw, lampoon, laugh at, write about whatever we want. We're free people in a free society. They were the only ones who held on to that. And obviously on Wednesday morning, we know what happened as a result. So any one publication would, I think, undoubtedly put its staff at considerable risk. That's why I've suggested this week, repeated what Ayaan Hirsi Ali said after the Danish cartoons affair. We have to spread the risk around. The free press in the free world has to spread the risk around. Our freedoms hang on this. It cannot be left to a single individual or a single publication, a single satirical magazine to hold the line for all of our freedoms.
That's true. That's true. Like when it comes to especially when you notice that you live in a society or you live in a liberal society, and to a good extent you're not Saudi Arabia, right? You're not Egypt, you're not Northern Nigeria. So when something is said that Muslims find provocative and then they resort to violence as a response, you should not allow them win, because what they want to do is to scare you away from criticizing Islam. What you should do instead is, like he said, spread the risk. Make it my dream for the West is that it will become commonplace in Western countries. And it's something that is achievable, that it will become commonplace to criticize Islam, commonplace to make fun of Muhammad, commonplace to, like, I'm not saying it's going to get mainstream acceptance. I'm not saying that mainstream media is going to be like, oh, it's okay. But it is going to become so commonplace that even when someone do it, it will no longer be newsworthy. Right? That is how commonplace I dream that it becomes in the West. We are criticizing Islam, saying the truth about who Muhammad is, insulting him with the aim to offend. It becomes so commonplace that if an Islamist wants to kill people or attack people who criticize the Prophet, he's going to be like, where do I begin? Who do I start with? And then where every attack, the response to every attack will be an increase in the insult that Muhammad will receive. Where the average Muslim will know, if I attack somebody for criticizing Islam, I am going to open the floodgates of more attacks. That is the only way to stop this. That is the only way to deal with this sensitivity that Muslims have towards criticism against Islam and against the Prophet, or against their so-called Prophet. That is the only way forward. That is the only way. It has to become commonplace. It really has to become common. Look, if the make it that the Muslim man has two options: deal with it or leave it. Deal with it or leave it. And if they cannot deal with freedom of expression in the West, they can always and at all times, whenever they feel like, leave. All this talk about, oh, if you criticize the Prophet, you're putting the lives of Muslims at risk, needs to stop. Because that's why, if you say Muhammad is a pedophile, somehow it will make it that whenever somebody see a Muslim, is going to like shoot him or something. Like, really? Really? The people who think that the God of the Bible is a wicked God, that the God of the Bible is a wicked God and Christians want a fascist state, and that they are the reason why World War II happened and the Holocaust happened. It was Christian fascists that led it, and they had reasons to do that from what is written in the Bible, blah, 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 blah. There are people who hold that belief and who have expressed it. They have expressed it. Has that led to Christians being attacked? All of a sudden, when it comes to Muslims, one small criticism, like, oh, this is it. The only people. This is the thing. This is how Muslims and those who are trans are united. Okay, if you insult a trans person or you say something a trans person finds offensive, the trans person is going to kill himself, right? When he kills himself, or at least that's what it is said. Oh, this person is going to have a mental breakdown, psychological breakdown that will lead them to commit suicide. That's what they tell us, right? When the person ends up killing himself, they'll say, no, the person did not kill himself. We who said the things we said are the ones that killed the person. So we, by virtue of saying that the trans woman is not a woman, have led to genocide, the self-deletion, the mass self-deletion of by trans people towards their own self, right? And in that regard, we are therefore committing genocide. The same thing with Muslims. When you say something that is critical about Islam, Muslims are going to become violent. Muslims are going to start carrying out criminal acts, attacks, shootings, stabbings, riots, burning of properties. They are the ones that are going to become violent. And we who criticize Muhammad are the ones who incited that violence. So it is not their fault for being violent. It is our. No, this cannot be allowed to continue. It cannot. You have to make them tired. You have to wear them out. That is the way forward. You have to, if a Muslim person wants to be sensitive, with that sensitivity, you have to wear it out. Where he's tired of being offended. Where he's like, when he see an offense, like, you know what, just let them keep talking. They have to, that is the only way forward. You have to make them grow tired of it. But they're like, you know what, let them talk. Let them talk. That is the only way forward.
Raza Nadim, I come to you because you are scowling.
Yeah, because I disagree with everything.
That clap we just had from listeners for Jazz for giving us a 70 rand super chat. Thank you so much. And what she said is, fourth, blasphemy, Frank, you are a better man than Momo. I am. It's not even blasphemy at this point. I put myself on a higher, my high horse is a chariot of fire compared to whatever Muhammad was riding on in the 7th century. My moral high horse is a flipping chariot of fire, ascending into heaven, like what took Prophet Elijah to heaven. That is my moral high horse right now. 1000%. I'm convinced Momo had a very, very small winner. Hey, this is black. Now this is Islamophobic. Okay, we have to think about the religious sensitivity of Muslims when we say things like this. Okay, we have to think of that. Just you're a blasphemer, and the anyways, let me read it. Fourth blasphemy, Frank, you're a better man than Momo. And by the way, I'm convinced Momo had a very, very small winner. His spot P. No one could see and laugh. Yeah, well, we can infer. Makes sense. This theory has something to it. There's something to this theory. And I 100% agree with it. Let me use this opportunity to check other super chats. And this is from Nix. First time joining life, is borderline idolatry to hold a book in such regard. It is. Not just the book, but also the prophet. To hold a prophet to that regard is borderline idolatry. But of course, trust the Muslim man to tell you that they are worshiping one God. They are. Islam is polytheism that identifies as monotheism. But we are the ones who believe in three gods. We are too compassionate to see the big picture now. Yeah, compassion is now the only goal. And this is the thing about compassion. If compassion has to be based on the truth, that is why the biggest, what should be more important than just compassion is the truth. Because if you don't know the truth, you can't even be compassionate. So your compassion is going to be wickedness that identifies as compassion. That's what it is going to be. It's just going to be wickedness identifying itself as compassion. This is also from Glasses. She said, I will not call him prophet. Pedo, yes. He's no prophet, but he is a pedo. He is. He is. He is. And yeah, that's all the super chats that I have to get. Oh, there's another one from Coping. He said, systemic child molestation is qualified via Sharia. Yes, Sharia does not have a limitation for marriage. So the age limitation for marriage. I don't think there's any school of Sharia law that has age limitation. I've said it countless times on this stream. In Sharia law, there is no age limitation for marriage. None whatsoever. And all these people talking about, oh no, poverty harm principle, all that is just made up nonsense. It does not in any way restrict age, doesn't put any age restriction for marriage or any restriction whatsoever. So yeah. Anyways, let's continue. Let's listen to what this person has to say rather.
Raza Nadim, I come to you because you are scowling.
Yeah, because I disagree with everything he said so far. Because
everything?
Yeah, most of what he said. Because I stopped listening after a while because it just didn't make sense. When he talks about
it just didn't make sense. And trust me, he's about to say something that makes sense. Just wait for the something that makes sense that this guy named Raza Nadim is about to say. Huh? Muslim Public Affairs Committee UK. Okay, with his wannabe Mohammed beard. Let's see what he's going to say that is going to trump Douglas Morris's statement. Let's see. Let's hear from him the Islamic wisdom that's about to proceed from his lips.
The news, Charlie Hebdo published whatever they wanted. That's rubbish. They were overtly racist towards Muslims. They were always lampooning.
Did he just say racist towards Muslims? Is it whenever this is somebody who is trying to make sense, and what came out of his mouth was racist towards Muslims? Dude, Islam, Muslim is not a race. It's a religious belief. You can't be racist towards people of a religious belief. But of course, you're going to co-opt leftist talking point. Okay, since racism is what matters most to them, all of a sudden Islam will have to become a race, so that they can benefit from that protection that leftists advocate for so-called marginalized racial groups. Now, Islam is a marginalized racial groups that need protection.
Arabs and being overtly racist in most of their publications, and it smacks of hypocrisy because they were prepared in the name of freedom of speech to sack a journalist who wrote a column that they considered to be anti-Semitic. So how come there's a line there, but when it comes to Muslims, it doesn't matter taking on the chin? Why are we treated differently from others?
Could I just answer that?
He was charged with a hate crime as well.
Sorry, it's really rich. There are 12 people dead.
Oh, please, no, don't try to use their deaths.
No.
Just don't, please, don't try.
You guys do it all the time. You people do it all the time. If it was a Muslim that was dead, oh my God, you are going to ride that train to paradise. You're going to ride on it till the wheels fall off. You're going to use, you are using the death of Palestinians now. People that you people are causing the death of those Palestinians, but you're still using their death to push ridiculous agendas or agenda. And you're going to talk to me about, oh, don't use the death of this. Yes, journalists have been killed in a shooting because there's a publication that released something that they consider to be offensive to Islam and offensive to the Prophet. And after those people were dead, you're going to talk about people being racist towards Arabs, that the population was racist towards Arabs. Now is the time to bring it up. And there is no You're not even thinking to yourself like, okay, maybe now is not the best time to talk about racism towards Arabs. This racism towards our Arabs that this publication has published, has it led to the killing of any Arab? Has it led to the killing of any Muslim? No, it has led to Muslims killing other people. That is the road. Do not make Muslims start killing people. In whatever you do, don't make that happen. It should not happen. Okay? Do not make Muslims start killing. That is how you prevent, that's how you maintain religious peace. Do not make the Muslim man resort to killing. Help us put him in check by not offending him. Because you know when you offend him, he's going to start killing people. That is how you, like I said, that's how you keep religious peace.
Right, because I just give you an example where they did. No, let me finish my point. The clear example where they don't care for freedom of speech.
Okay, on that
example,
Douglas will address that example. If he doesn't, we'll make it. And then I'll come back to you and ask you another question.
A dozen people were killed, and they're now being smeared as racists, like this gentleman here. And I think that's intolerable.
No, I did not.
He clearly knows nothing about Charlie Hebdo.
I just gave you an example.
About France, nothing about French traditions of free speech. Charlie Hebdo is a left-wing, anti-racist publication. It has lampooned and does lampoon everybody. In recent years, it has taken particular delight in lampooning. Most of the attacks on Charlie Hebdo, the non-physical attacks, have been from the Catholic Church, repeated attempts to criminalize Charlie Hebdo for what it says about the Pope. Marine Le Pen, the far-right wing leader, is one of the main targets of their satire. You don't understand anything.
I just gave you an example.
Let me ask.
Exactly. And that's the thing about the anti-blasphemy law in Europe. Like I was saying earlier in my opening statement, that they've replaced this protecting or criminalizing blasphemy against Christianity with criminalizing. You replace one blasphemy law with another. That is what is happening, and that is why I call this Sharia law. Okay. Yes, I'm not saying that blasphemy laws that exist that says you shouldn't say anything against the Pope or you shouldn't say anything against the Catholic Church. We are good things. They should not have existed because you should be able to criticize the Catholic Church. You should be able to criticize the Pope, say whatever you want to say, insult him, ridicule him, do whatever. Okay? Well, it is your mouth. You can say whatever you want to say with it. But now we live in a society where that has now been replaced. Nobody takes that. If a Catholic comes up and say, no, we should criminalize this publication for insulting the Pope, nobody's going to take them seriously. But they do, oh, please. But if a Muslim say, oh, we should criminalize this publication or this act because it is insulting to the Prophet and to the religion, everybody's like, yeah, let's talk about this. So what you've ended up doing is to replace one religion with another religion. That is what Europe has done. You are replacing Christianity with Islam. And it makes me ask the question, can a society be non-religious? Can it really be non-religious?
Let me ask you a question, and then thereafter we're going to spread the love, okay? As it were. Rosa, I mean, Douglas touches on this. France has a long, some would say fantastic, certainly very proud tradition of vulgar and rude and anti-religious cartoons. Isn't it a cultural imposition for a minority to seek to change that?
Muslims
answer that question.
In France, in 2006, a rapper was prosecuted for saying, I want to urinate on...
This moron is not going to answer the question. He's not. He's just going to go around he's one thing Muslims have mastered. You ask them a question and they go around and tell you stories. And you're like, this story, this thing you just said, explain the connection between this thing you just said and the question I asked you. He's not going to do that. He's not going to answer. You are a minority group. You are a foreign group, and you are imposing your values on the majority. Is it fair to do that? No, let's talk about something else. In answer to your question, let me tell you a story about my grandmother. Dude, what's the connection?
Napoleon. So where's this, in believing in a person, we can offend whoever we want? It's rubbish. Muslims are being asked to believe in freedom of speech more than others are, because in France they're prepared to prosecute an individual on that basis. They've banned comedians.
Muslims are, just keep playing the victim at this point.
Considered to be anti-Semitic.
The Muslims don't believe in playing music, but they play the victim a lot. It's like an instrument for them. It's the only instrument they are good at playing.
Now, I'm saying it's right if someone's being anti-Semitic, stop them. But when we're saying someone is being Islamophobic and anti-Muslim...
Let me even shock you. Somebody's being anti-Semitic. If they're being anti-Semitic, stop them, but stop them by criticizing them. Don't stop them by criminalizing what their speech. I would say that even in Europe. Anyway.
We're saying we're taking the chin. Why are we treated differently?
If it's unacceptable, as many people feel it is, many people find it deeply offensive to see cartoons of the Muslim prophet Muhammad, is there any way in which it is acceptable to poke fun at Islam?
If you want to poke fun, no one really cares. But the thing is...
It's a lie. You are a liar. You care so much. If you want to poke fun is a lie. It's a lie. And you are a liar. This person here is a pathetic liar. And the next thing he's going to come out of his mouth is even going to prove the fact that he's lying.
This isn't about poking fun.
We're not talking about cartoons. Is there any way?
No, hang on. No, this wasn't about poking fun. This case is being painted as a freedom of speech issue, and it's clearly linked to the war on terror. If you look at the cartoon, the killers, what they say, we're part of Al Qaeda. It wasn't a cartoon that riled them up. It was foreign policy and the war on terror.
Let me bring it back if I can. Let me bring it. Of course you wouldn't. But let me bring it back. People are worried about blasphemy here, sort of stealth. Through the back door, or through the front door, whatever.
Very much through the front door. Can I just quickly, there are some people speaking about who have clearly sort of mugged up on Charlie Hebdo in the last couple of days and drawn from this tragedy whatever they like. But you really should know more if you're going to speak about this.
And I have shown more about than you about this
topic. You are going to need to know more
There's this human being here. If you want me to get dental work, you give a super chat to that effect. If you give a super chat of 1,000 US dollars, I'll consider it. That's for me to consider it and not for me to go ahead and have it. If it really bothers you, okay? Thank you.
More about it than you clearly. I'm not sparing. I'm not
sparing. But let me just one thing you may not be aware of. One thing you may not be aware of, but it's worth throwing into the discussion, is that there are laws on the continent, particularly to do with anti-Semitism and particularly to do with the Holocaust. And let me just explain, because you may again not know this, but the historical reasons for that. France has historical reasons to be incredibly sensitive of anti-Semitism in particular, because within people's living memory, tens of thousands of Jews were put on trains and slaughtered. So shouldn't be sensitive of Islamophobia? No, let me explain.
What is Islamophobia? What nonsense is Islamophobia? Define Islamophobia. Islamophobia is just Sharia law. It is Sharia law.
Shouldn't be sensitive of it. There's a secret website called Google. Let
me finish the point I'm making.
Let him explain.
There are very specific reasons. There are very specific reasons in France and Germany why some of those laws exist. But let me get back to the main point which you've been trying to divert us from. That's this. What is going on with this is an attempt not to make Islam be treated different, and not making Charlie Hebdo. It wasn't to treat Islam differently or Muhammad. It was to treat Islam exactly the same way that secular free people have the right to talk about every religion. And this gentleman and others are trying through the front door, some people through the front door with Kalashnikovs and others through the back door with this kind of weasel talk. What they do is try to make one religion free from being able to be criticized, and it must be stopped.
Well, people that are so insensitive are with you about their own religion.
And that, my friends, is the truth about, this so-called Islamophobia and whatever. I think I've said it like countless times already. You are replacing one religion with another, with things like this. There's no such thing as Islamophobia. It's just a way for Muslims to introduce Sharia law, blasphemy law. That is it. Because Islamophobia makes no sense. Islamophobia, just like blasphemy law or blasphemy in Islam, has no meaning. It has literally no meaning. It means whatever the Muslim man wants it to mean. And these people should not be taken seriously. Like, these people should not be taken seriously. There's certain conversations that I watch, and certain people having certain conversations, and I'm like, this person is so unserious that they should not be taken seriously. They should not be taken seriously. Just like just like a satellite can here. Yeah, with his Maybach. Is it Maybach that's on your profile picture? Is it Maybach? Maybach. Yeah, see, so that's what we know the kind of person we are dealing with. We are dealing with a Maybach, somebody who wishes to drive a Maybach. That in Nigeria you need excess for that. Yeah, I do. And one thing I'm certain about is that you cannot afford it. But one thing I know you can afford is to freely chat. So please keep going. Keep going. It will help with the algorithm. What else? Anyway, so yeah, that is what we'll be looking at. What we intend to look at today, with regards to. Oh, I lost my train of thought for a second. There's something I wanted to say, and now I can't remember what I wanted to say. Anyway, so yeah, I'll close by saying people in the West should recognize that there are freedoms that they have that they should not take for granted. Freedom of expression is one of them, and they should not take this their freedom for granted. I guess you people have a lot going great for you guys. You just want to mess things up and see how it goes. You now feel the need to experiment. I think too much luxury is causing is responsible for some of this. Maybe you're too comfortable, And that's why I say if you think there is no problem again in the world because you live in a very nice street with constant electricity and good internet, maybe you should look at other parts of the world that are going through hell. Before you start suggesting things that will be harmful not only to you but to every other person who is trying to come out of the dire situation that they find themselves in, politically and economically. Stop pushing things that will make life difficult for them. It will be nice, or it will be not nice, but it will be less worrisome. These are the things that these people are pushing, are things or trends that will begin and end with them, right? It will be less worrisome. But of one thing, this leftists and Islamists are experts in doing, they're spotting that thing. They're like, we want to spread it to the rest of the world. This is the best way to go on living. Yeah. And so far so good for them, I guess. I just pray that people in the West will wake up and realize how the path they find themselves on and the things they're trying to do, especially with laws to protect religious feelings and to keep religious peace. I hope Westerners will recognize that a statement like that, to keep religious peace, is synonymous with fitna. And fitna is an Islamic idea. Okay? When Muslims will resort to violence when something is done that they don't like, and then you, who did the thing that they don't like, is the one who is spreading mischief in the land. And you have a legal system in the West recognizing that as the case. Then you have established Sharia law. You have established Sharia law. And it's only a matter of how far are you going to go. That is all it is right now, is how far will you go in this nonsense you're doing? How far are you going to stop the spread of fitna? Will it end with just blasphemy? Or will it extend to other religions publicly practicing, other people of other religion publicly practicing their religion? Will it extend to paying the jizya? How far are you willing to go to protect the religious feelings of Muslims, to stop the spread of what they will consider mischievous? How far are you willing to go? And my suggestion is, do not entertain it at all. Wear them out. Don't stand for it. Don't allow it. Say no to it. Say no to blasphemy laws. Say no to Sharia law. Say no. And that is where we come to an end, guys. it has been a blast. I want to thank everyone for joining us to talk about to express our collective Islamophobia and to spread the Islamophobia across the world. I hope this will be a step towards you know how leftists say globalize the intifada. We need to globalize the Islamophobia. That is what we are trying to do here. I think that is what should be a hashtag, like my video description or something. Globalize the Islamophobia. That's what we are trying to do. And I hope this has been a very huge step, or maybe a tiny step, whatever the step is, in the right direction to globalizing Islamophobia. And I want you to go out there after this live stream ends and spread that Islamophobia. Spread it like AIDS. Not AIDS. Spread it like COVID. Spread it like COVID. Okay? Spread it like COVID. Spread that Islamophobic love like COVID. And till I see you again tomorrow, I will do another live stream tomorrow. I want to try every day of the week live stream. Every business day of the week live stream. I don't know if I can do live streams during the weekend. Or who knows. So I'll do another live stream tomorrow. So expect a miracle. Expect a miracle from me tomorrow. Expect another Islamophobic miracle. Says I'm doing my hand like this like a woman. And until then, peace.